What's up, y'all? I'm Caitlin Leggett, your favorite journalist, digital media, all the thing girly. And I am also now a documentarian, cinematographer. I don't know if that's what documentarian means, but that's what it means today, baby. Okay, I'm filming a documentary and I have no clue what I'm doing. So much fun. Yeah, but if you don't know, now you know. I'm shooting a documentary on flag football, specifically in DC. And I'm literally learning everything as I go. And so I'm just going to be sharing some of the things and documenting some of the process. And so I figured I would talk about the one part of this process that I am completely sure about, that I do know. And that is interviews, okay? If you don't know, I'm a journalist by trade, okay? Really, I am a storyteller by passion, but I work as a reporter and I've been in the field of media for the past 6 or so years. So one thing I do know how to do is how to get interviews, one, and how to conduct interviews. So let's talk about the bulk of what this documentary looks like. So I'm talking to men, women, coaches, players, just, inhabitants of the game of flag football, but specifically of the 8th game of flag football in DC. And I'm talking to former players and former coaches about their experiences. But I'm literally having to go back through archives and talk to people, to reach out to the people that are kind of like the main focal points of this interview. So it's a lot of research, and a lot of the interviews that I'm getting now, I'm using as backup research to kind of piece everything together, because I do have a full script that goes along with my documentary. So it can kind of like tell the full story of, DC's like Eli Mecca flag football, right? And so let's say that it really all started when I was at a tournament in January. I was at UFFL Nationals, and this idea was kind of planted in my head. I went into it with some planning, but on the spot, you don't always know who you're going to be able to talk to. What you have planned, you might not get. So there were some interviews that I had lined up there that I didn't get, and there were some ones that I didn't have lined up that I did get. And within each of my interviews, I am really locked in and just kind of dialed into the conversation. I just see a spider on my wall and I have to kill it. I have to kill it before it kills me. Anyways, so interviews. I know how to interview, and I think where people kind of mess up is that they have maybe they have a plan in their head and they stick to their plan no matter what, when really you just have to follow the conversation. So if someone if someone that I reached out to, okay, let me start over. Let me start over, because how do I even get the interview? Cool. So let's say in those early stages when I got some of those first people that I was talking to at UFFL Nationals, at the end of the interview, I asked them, hey, is there anybody else that is, important to this game? Anybody else that you think that I should talk to? And can you pass their contact along? If they were able to give me a name but not a contact, okay, then it is on me to go, I'm talking about Facebook, Instagram. I'm asking friend of friends, hey, do you know such and such? Do you have such and such's number? I'm trying to line this up and figuring out where I can get stuff there. And so that's how I'm getting the bulk of who I need to talk to, outside of who else is recommended to me. And I'm literally reaching out and I'm sending a quick DM, a quick message, a quick email, and I'm saying, hey, my name is Caitlin Leggett. I'm a flag football player, at LOC, and I'm putting together this documentary. Would you like to be a part of it? Would you like to share your insight? That type of thing. So that is that, one. And then when I am in the interviews, I'm literally listening to the people. I am following conversation. 9 times out of 10, I know some of the people that they're talking about, right? So I know some of these teams that they're mentioning, and I am locked into the conversation so that I can continue down the path that they're leading me to. And then if I have themes that I know I want to stick, to, I am going to circle back to that, but maybe it's not that time. So I do have a written list of questions of just so I can get timeline things, names, dates, what tournament did you play in, this, that, and the third. But majority of this is just tell me your experience and I'll piece everything together from them, because really stories and the personal experiences are what really sells these things, and what really gives people the insight and to feel when they're watching this that they're there with you, or that they're being taken through history. So I'm getting a lot of those like personal stories, but then I'm also, you know, getting some of those facts and things to go with it. And I feel like out of this entire process, that's the only thing I know how to do, because every single day I go to work, I piece together a mini like expose of, you know, different topics, right? And so it's filled with interviews and a storyline and bios, you know, tracks and just things to move the story along. But this is such a large scale. This is something that I am not really used to. It's not something that I've done. It's not something that I've seen done production wise. I haven't seen it done start to finish. On this large scale, right? Because documentaries are oftentimes like an hour or two long. So I am figuring out how to move that story along with my interviews. And, you know, I feel like I am from a space where there is such a thing as too many interviews in one story, right? Because you can get lost in having all of these different people tell the story. So this is different for me because I think I can have multiple voices, but I don't need all of them, right? Not in a sense of like, they will be included in some way, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they need to be a focal point. I don't need to have them say what they said. I can say what they said and accredit them, you know? And sometimes that moves a story along, you know, just as well as otherwise. So I feel like this is literally the only part of like what I'm doing in this documentary that I know. I know interviews. I know how to talk to people. I know how to get information out of people, because I like to think, you know, I feel like I hear from most people, but I like to think that I am, you know, a great journalist in that aspect of like, it really does feel like you're just talking to a friend, right? I tell people, don't even look at the camera. Look right at me. We're just gonna have a conversation, very informal. I'm asking you questions and I'm asking you to tell it to me like I'm your homegirl up the block, okay? I have more freedom in this, right? People don't have to bleep themselves out. If you wanna cuss, I can bleep it later if I even have to, okay? Because like, can you cuss in documentaries? I feel like you should be able to. But yeah, this has been a really cool experience, and it's been different taking pieces of things that I do know, but also things that I don't know. Because like I said, I don't know anything about cinematography truly. Like, I know what I do every day, editing, you know, on Premiere Pro, you know, playing with those things. But it's so, I have such hard deadlines. It's so fast paced that this is something completely different. And I'm really enjoying it. I am really enjoying it. But I am also like simultaneously lost. So if you have thoughts, tips, tricks for how you would shoot a documentary, if you've ever shot one before, let me know something, because I'm trying to figure this whole thing out, and it's literally just me, okay? No one's helping me. And really, even when I'm documenting this, like, this is also just so I can look back and be like, oh, this is where you were in this process. Like, you did this at this time, girl, you could have did this, or, you know, that type of thing. So at this point, I have talked to Most Wanted coaches, and they gave me some contacts that I still have yet to reach out to. Obviously, I've talked to Coach C. I've talked to J-Rock. I actually kind of want to spin the block back on J-Rock. Talked to Coach Brandy. I've talked to the Lady Elite coaches. I actually need to go back and talk to their original coaches. I talked to Jennifer King, who she played in the league, and she is a football coach at Central, but she was also the first Black female to be a coach in the league. I talked to Mache. She played with the Mambas. She plays with LOC now. Who else have I talked to? There are definitely some like current-ish players, right? So I talked to the Black Mambas players. So I talked to Tata, Shani, and Danny. Who else? Oh, I talked to the Black Mambas coaches, Coach Rick and Coach Travis. I keep hearing about Stunna. I haven't talked to Stunna. There are definitely some other players that they gave me like contacts and stuff for, but I do need more player stories. Right now I talk to a lot of coaches. I need some players who played back then, some Most Wanted players for sure, because I don't have a lot. I have the coach, and so I have some of his history, but I need some like more, because like if we're going dynasties, I think the way it was looking, it was like Lady Ahmed. Oh, and then you had like the Lady Cougars, and I hear that the league was adapted also, like got inspiration from a league that was in Virginia. I think they were playing there, maybe first-ish kind of sort of. So, I mean, that is one thing in itself. But like I said, I'm doing the things that I do know. So I know how to tell a story, and I know how to get interviews. I'm never scared to reach out to people. That is one thing, like, as a journalist, baby, you have to be, okay, you have to take stuff on the chin. Because one thing about it, I will reach out to anybody and everybody. All you got to do is tell me no. I promise you, I'm not hurt. It's not that I don't care, but like, that's the nature of the job. Like, you have to be comfortable speaking to people. And so I'm never scared to reach out to somebody and say, hey, boo, this is what I'm doing. Would you like to? It's a yes or no. I don't need you hemming and hawing